AI. Oh my gosh, AI, right? AI, as parents, sometimes we embrace it, sometimes we can be a little hesitant. A couple of weeks ago, Kenyon and my son Kenyon, is right here with us. Hello, Kenyon. Thanks for joining us today. I'm so excited about what we're doing right now. And I'm also very excited about our topic because this is something that I think is really important for parents to understand and for parents to really embrace because it is all about really preparing our kids for the future. So, when we are preparing our kids for the future, we want to make sure that we are giving them the tools that are the most up to date, the thinking, the knowledge, and be able to have the skills, right? Those are all three things I talk about with parents all the time. And so this is something that is really, really important because AI is here, it's not going anywhere, and it's only going to get stronger and more prolific. So we want to make sure to prepare our kids for using AI in a healthy way as a tool, not as a replacement for learning, but as a tool for learning. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Last time, in our last episode, if you haven't, again, watched or listened to that, go back 2 weeks ago, and we had a whole talk on what AI is, how text based models work, and we also talked about some things that are concerns that are really valid. And so that's important for us to cover. So today, we're going to talk about comparing these types of models. So, we're going to talk about comparing the models and how they are relating to each other, what each model is good for, the different types of AI. And Kenyon knows a lot about this, you guys. Kenyon has researched a lot. He's dabbled in a lot of things. He tries different models for different reasons, and he's really, really good at that stuff. So, I want him to share with you today and share with you a little bit about what those models are, what they can be used for, and what they're good at and what they're not good at. Because sometimes we can get stuck in just using one, and then there's some pitfalls to all of them as well as benefits, and we don't know, we can't take advantage of what's out there. So we really want to teach our kids to be able to use all the different models that are appropriate, of course, but all the different models for the different strengths that they have. And we want to make sure that they know how to compare and contrast them and not just use one solely. Okay. So, what we're going to do, Kenyon, is I would like you to share a little bit about just why you're so excited about AI. So Kenyon is 16 and a half right now as of the time of this recording, and he is super, super adept at using AI, and he's even been coding. He's been coding some AI projects. So he's really, really, he loves to read about it. So we hear about it all the time, and he loves to tell us all about this stuff too. I learn everything I know about AI almost from Kenyon. So I want him to share a little bit about what you're so interested in AI, why you're interested, and why you think people need to know it.
Yeah, so how I got started being interested in AI is I remember a long time ago, right when you were like starting up your podcast, you had a Chris Rumbold on here, and he knew a bunch about AI, and he was talking about its potential impact on the world and stuff like that. And he had an AI course for kids that I took, and I just took off right from there. I just realized what a powerful tool it was. I thought it was a really cool thing, and I just got hooked right off that from the start. And AI is a big thing that we can't ignore, obviously. Like, it's here, it's now, it's not something that we can just hold off until tomorrow because it's already here and transforming the world. So really the people that are going to be the most successful in the future are the people who understand AI and how to use it effectively, because the AI revolution may already be here, but it's going to get even bigger as the models get smarter and smarter. So it's not something that can be ignored. If you want to be successful in the future, you need to understand AI.
Absolutely. So, one of the things we were just talking about with our chiropractor this morning, he said you can either be in the future, you can be one of the people who uses AI, who, gives other people jobs and things like that, or you can be the person who's not using, doesn't know how to use it, and be for lack of a better word, looking to or controlled by the people who do know how to use it, right?
Yeah.
So that's really, really key. And I want to talk today, I want to get right into talking about these models. Last time we talked about text-based models only. Today we're going to go into a little bit broader of different types of models and things you can use it for. But I want to touch on, let's talk about the different ways that we can use them and what models are good for what. Okay, so
Okay.
let's first talk about ChatGPT in particular, because there are lots of different models within that. And so
Mhm.
let's just talk about the models in ChatGPT briefly and just kind of give an overview of what it, if you have the pro plan, so if you have, or the paid plan I should say,
There's
that
yeah.
you have access to different models. What are those models good for, and what should we, I mean, automatically we start using 4.0 was the automatic one,
Yep.
and so that's good for
Default.
pretty versatile. But what are some of the other models good for?
So, categories of models in ChatGPT fall into basically two classes. There's the O series and there's the GPT series. So those two are the different the two classes of models, and they're good for different things. The GPT series are very versatile. They're good for a wide range of topics, and they generally respond very quickly. Um, However, they are not the best when it comes to very reasoning heavy tasks. If you're looking for something in the area of science, math, engineering, they are not coding. They're generally not going to be best for that. They can do it, but it's better if you use the O series models. The O series models are longer. They don't respond as quickly, but they are designed that way because they've processed for a much longer time, and they actually generate, it's fascinating, they actually generate an internal chain of thought where you can actually, they actually spit it out in the chat and you can see them thinking as they work through the problem. And because of that, because they process longer, they can tackle much more complicated tasks, much like humans. If they spend longer times thinking, they might be able to come up with a better answer than just something off the cuff. So that's, I don't know that they're very good at writing though. If you look at, OpenAI released a usage chart and you see that they're not used for very popular for writing tasks. If you want to do a writing task, if you have a paid plan, go to GPT 4.5. GPT 4.5 is very good at writing. It has good emotional intelligence, as they call it. So it understands human emotions better than the other models do. So if you want to do writing, I would definitely recommend that.
You know, one thing that I want to just briefly talk about here is that, yeah, for writing, 4.5 is very good. I noticed it has a much deeper result than the 4.0, except that 4.0 is very good for general terms. And
Yes.
I want to cover briefly writing, because a lot of us have complicated emotions around writing and AI, and our kids are never going to learn how to write because they're going to be going to this chat all the time and have it write for them. Here's what I know based on my personal usage is that asking it to write something, it absolutely can. You can even ask it to write in a specific voice of a 16-year-old boy. You can have it write as a pop star. You can have it write as, a country music singer or something. I mean, you could do it in lots of different ways. I know Kenyon even has
I've
a
had it I've had it write in the voice of a pirate before, and it was very good.
yeah, writing something expository, like some research based thing that, or science based thing that was written as it was about astronomy, right?
It
So
was
it was
about astrophysics.
astrophysics, writing in the
Yeah.
voice of a pirate. So
Yeah,
here's the
it's
thing,
hilarious.
that it is hilarious, but there's a lot of trepidation around that. And what I found, actually, it does produce that and it does it quite well, but it's not in your voice. And it's not, it often is only like maybe 70% of what would be a good product. So a good piece of writing. So what I do, because I also feel like my heart and my energy and everybody's energy is put into our words and transferred to people, and I never want to lose that. So by the way, everything that I write, emails, anything that I'm writing for our courses and academies and content, and everything that I write is from me. I want you to feel that connection with me. And what I do sometimes, though, is I take that initial writing and then I put it into the chat writing and I say, can you make this a little more conversational, or can you make it a little more punchy, or a little, maybe more concise? And it really does a good job of that. And then it's only about 80 to 85% there. And then I change it around a little bit and I perfect it that way. So it really works best when you have something written and you put it in and then ask it to do, some revising. I know Kenyon's done that as well. So I want to put that
Agreed.
caveat in there that it's not just about asking, yes, you can absolutely say, Kenyon's even tried it before, where let's try to write a book. Let's try to
Hmm.
write a story. And it does. And it does a good job. But I was shocked when I first saw it. But it's still not in our words, with our energy, with our voice, with our heart. And we want to make sure that our kids are going to know how to write. We're just using it as a tool to make sure that we're cleaning it up and we can learn from there.
Yeah, AI is good at writing to a point, but like you said, the message that you have is often the style that you would write it in is often missing. So what you want to do is, I found is a good approach, is to say, write the first draft and then ask it to suggest edits, and then add in the edits, add in some other stuff you didn't think about before, and put it back through. Ask for more edits. If you want, you can ask it to edit it for you, but you do need to rewrite it with edits, but you have to be very careful with that. That it doesn't lose your style. You want to make sure to ask it explicitly to keep the original message and style if you choose to go that route.
Yeah. So remember in school when we wrote our first draft and then we had some editing and then we wrote a second draft and things like that. We can actually use Chat GPT. I actually call it Chat So Chat as our editor. And for us moms that feel like we're not that great at writing, woohoo! This is our chance, right? So that's what I just want to touch briefly on that. So let's move out a little bit now to talking about the different models and what they're good for and what they're not good for. So are there any other models that are good for text-based, like content creation, ideas, and writing?
So for writing and stuff like that, there's a few different options. The first one is Claude AI. That's one that it's not very well known outside of people who are really into AI, but it's very good at writing in a human-like manner, and it's also very good at writing in a professional style. It's You can also enter a lot of data into it. Like, I've heard something like it can take up to 200,000 tokens, or about 120,000 words at one specific time. So if you're looking to put a whole book in and write it, you edit it, you could technically do that. So Claude is very good at writing, like I said, professional and in a professional style. It's also designed to be very non-offensive by design. Claude is very known for its safety protocols, so it's very non-offensive when it writes. It's got a very refined tone, and people say it writes more seriously than ChatGPT does. So if you're looking for a refined document, then Claude is definitely good for doing that and making it sound human-like. Another one is Grok AI. This is Elon Musk's AI that he developed after he left OpenAI, and it's actually very good at writing, I have to say. I took the introduction for a book I'm writing and pasted it into there, told it to keep the original tone and style message, but add edits where necessary, and make it a little more dramatic. I must say it did very well. It used metaphors very effectively, which is surprising for AI because it usually does not grasp abstractions well. So, Grok is definitely good for writing. And then another thing, what was another? Oh yeah, character AI. That one is also not well known, but character AI, you can actually it's very customizable. So you can actually tell the AI to write in a certain style of a certain person or role play characters, and it's even more so than ChatGPT. And it's highly prized by writers because you can make it mimic your writing style, I believe. You know. So those really most general purpose language models can write something, but those and GPT 4.5 are the best ones. And a couple things about the other models like Claude, they do have downsides. Like Claude has very tight message limits on the free plan, so that's something to think about. Grok can have message restrictions on the fairly high message restrictions on the free plan as well, and 4.5 is only accessible via paid plans. So
Right, definitely something to think about. Now, so moving past a little bit beyond writing, what about research? So, one of the things AI is really good at sometimes is research. So, we actually just found out about a new model this morning, which is super exciting. But so, what are good models for researching things? This is a great way to really help your kids with project based learning, with unit studies that you're developing, or just in general, if you got, a kid really into cats and you're down a rabbit trail and I want to learn about butterflies and let's go down a rabbit trail and learn about butterflies. This is a really good way to get some resources to research. So what kind of research models do we have?
So, just right off the bat, most models like ChatGPT or Grok or Google Gemini, those models generally have a deep research function. So this means they go into the and start they go and they use advanced models that go and search the web and reason about what they're finding for several minutes, for anywhere to 10 minutes to a half hour. And they just go through and they just keep researching deeply into everything they can find on the topic, and then they put it all together into a detailed report at the end. That's a very valuable tool, um, but unfortunately, it's often not available to free users of services. The ChatGPT deep research function is available for free, but it is limited and does not use their smartest model. You have to be on the plus plan to get their smarter model.
And that's as of this is actually June 19th, 2025. So just so
Yes,
you
so
know,
as of
that
right
could
now.
change dramatically
Yeah.
in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, but as of right now, that's where it
Yeah.
stands. And then many like Grok does allow limited deep research, but they do allow you access to their smarter deep research model as well as a free user. Gemini, I'm not really sure because as an underage user, Google blocks me from using Gemini. But I've read reports, it seems like it does fairly well from what I've read. I don't know if you can use it if you're a free plan. That would be something to check into. Um, Google Gemini because it's so built in to Google with their search engine and all that stuff, it can be useful for research on its own. It's not going to be good as a dedicated research AI, but it's still something to think about. And then there are a couple AIs that are purpose built for research if you want to go deeper. So there's one called Perplexity AI, which it's marketed more as a replacement for Google than an AI research bot, but that's basically what it is. It's like a search engine. It's like Google and ChatGPT had a baby, basically. It does search. It does advanced search functions, helps you find things on the web better. It can function as a normal chatbot as well, but it's better for research on the web. I have heard criticisms, however, about its being able to remember the context of the discussion. Like I've heard that you can ask it one question and then read its output, and then try to ask it another question, and it'll have no idea what you were talking about in the last one. So I'm not sure, that's not in every report I've read, but it is something to watch out, think about. And then another one you can use is called Manus AI. I
And
just
that's
found it out.
Manus, right?
Yes, I believe. Manus AI is meant for extremely deep research that, like, it will research your topic for 2 hours straight and then get back to you with a report. It's extremely deep research for complex topics. Probably not going to be necessary for most use cases, but if you want to really dive deep into a subject, that would be one that you could use.
Yeah, I love that. And we just found out about that one this morning and we were looking at it and it was pretty amazing. So I'm excited. There's new ones coming out all the time. So it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
something to really keep abreast of. And then, and they're always changing the usage things too and how
Yeah.
you can use them or how much you can use it or things like that. So now thinking more about fun things for kids,
Mm-hmm.
how can we use it for art?
So, art and image generators, there's lots of them. Just there's a whole lot of them. Most of the chatbot applications have some good ones because there are some crappy ones out there I've found. So the good one in ChatGPT, it's basically you just go into you click on tools in the ChatGPT message box, and there'll be create image. You click on create image, you type your prompt, it spits out an image for you. It can do art and surprisingly realistic images as well. It can create almost anything you want, and it's very good. It's actually a huge upgrade off the last model because it can understand your prompt better. So that one's good for general purpose, right? For general purpose art and image creation. Um, Grok and Google also have art and image generators. I'm not entirely sure how well they work, but I think they're comparable to like the ChatGPT image generator. If you want a very high level image generator, then look to Midjourney. Midjourney is an AI bot specifically designed for art and image generation, and it is widely considered to be the best in the field. It produces very accurate responses based on your prompt. Most of the people who are looking for AI graphics for like presentations, magazines, books, that sort of thing, most people turn to Midjourney for that stuff. Um, the downside is that it does not have a free plan whatsoever. It is only available by subscription. I believe plans start at like $10 a month though, so it's not a king's ransom.
Yeah, this is a really great way for your kids who love art and who are really into graphic design and things like that. Really great way for them to dabble around and just play with it. You can ask it to be more cartoony, you can ask it to be
Mm-hmm.
somewhat cartoony, or you can ask it to be realistic, and the more
Yeah.
realistic you can make it. And it's actually doing a pretty good job. I mean, there's
It
some
can
pretty amazing things.
it can do a lot of it can do a lot of different styles. So I've asked it to make anything from realistic images to oil painting style images, and it does well with either of those. If you don't input what like whether you want to be realistic or painting style or something like that, usually it'll look like something out of a cartoon. But it does if you do specify it, it actually does surprisingly well. And you obviously want to be very specific, of course, when using image generators, because often if you enter a vague prompt, you're probably not going to get something you want. Image generators they had kind of like a laugh factor about them for a while because, like, people would have like 6 fingers or something like that, or their faces would be all messed up. But they're not like that anymore. The newer ones don't make mistakes like that.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, I have to say. It was funny when they'd have like, somebody's arm would be cut off halfway and then the
Yeah.
rest of the arm would be on the side or something. So
Yeah.
it'd be kind of weird. But now it's pretty amazing. And just there's
Yeah.
so many cool things you can do with it. And
And
so oh go ahead.
one last little addendum I'd like to put in is that there are also AI video um, generators out there that they produce surprisingly realistic images in some cases. They don't. The problem is video.
Yeah, so Kenyon dropped out here, but the actual The video images are really, really, really amazing. So you just kind of have to play with it and be really specific. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to make sure that he can pop back on. So he's going to come back in a second, but we're going to talk more about some other types, including music. Kenyon and I were playing with a music generator AI called, what was it called? Plexus. No, was that this? I think that. Oh no, it was called Suno. That's what it was called. So Suno, Suno. And we were playing with this music generator. It was really fun. I actually had it try to create a theme song for this podcast, and I told it what style I wanted it to be in, and it was kind of cheesy, but it did a good job. I mean, it had this very similar messaging as to what we talk about and things we talk about all the time, and kind of the core, messaging that we have throughout, and the core, topics and things. So I really was kind of impressed. It didn't sound like, robotic, or it uses like human like voices, so you can have change the voices however you want. It's pretty incredible. So those of you that have kids who are really into music, you can create instrumentals and then they can sing to it, or you can have some create some lyrics, and then the band can practice playing, or anything like that would be super fun. So something I really want to talk about more is I want to talk about how to use it, some of the things to watch out for, and some of the things to that are really the benefits, okay? But I really want to definitely talk about the the things to watch out for. Oh, here Kenyon's coming back. But cuz some of
Sorry,
the
this
that's
thing
okay. No
suddenly
worries.
crapped
No
out on
worries.
me
No
for
worries.
no apparent reason.
So that's okay. It happens. So, buddy, I was just talking about the music one that we played
Oh
around with,
yeah,
which was actually kind of fun. And then
yeah,
some of the things I wanted to touch on just in the last couple minutes here is just, I know we were talking about some of the things to watch out for in certain models, like
yep.
Grok versus, and some of the other models. And you didn't mention the Chinese one either. I just want to
Oh
mention
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
so we can make sure to cover that topic too.
And one thing I'd like to say about all of them is that most of them can actually be used for as ChatGPT, like anything you would use ChatGPT for, just general purpose stuff. In particular, Gemini, Google Gemini, all of them have their strengths. Google Gemini's models, like particularly their Pro models, are though you have to pay to access them, but they are very advanced and they're widely considered to meet or exceed high-level ChatGPT models on certain tasks.
Yeah,
So
I
that
love
is
that.
so Gemini is good at stuff like that, and it also can integrate. If you do a lot of work in Google apps, Gemini can connect and is natively supported within every single Google app. So you can access it. If you connect it, you can access it directly from inside Google Docs, Gmail. It can write things for you within those applications. Even Google's like cloud coding application, Colab, if you're into coding, it can access that as well and help you with your coding there. So if you work a lot on Google, that Gemini is good for that. It does have a lot of bias within the code base I've read, embedded by the developers. It does not approach anything that could be remotely controversial. So if you're looking for something that's willing to approach a little bit of an edgy topic, maybe it's not really going to be good for that.
Yeah. Oh,
And
and
then
and then Copilot too. Mention Copilot.
Copilot, yeah, I was about to get to that. Copilot is also if Microsoft is what you use for all your like your docs, your presentations, your email, all that stuff. Copilot is the same exact thing. It can connect within every single one of or almost all of the Microsoft applications, and you can use it within there, particularly if you're also just browsing on Microsoft Edge. You can access it natively within the browser, and it can help you get details on the web page or specific topic that you're reading about or something like that. So it's very good for that. And then there's also another AI that can is comparable to the advanced ChatGPT models is called DeepSeek R1. It's not, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for a few reasons. One, it's out of China, and all your personal data that you enter into it is getting sent to China. And I just don't really trust the current Chinese government that much.
And through your IP address
And
too,
through your
right?
IP address,
Yeah.
yeah, it collect. And besides, if you think about how much people can learn about you from like your email, if they had access to your email account, your social media account, well, it's the same thing. You enter all this stuff into AI, all this thing about what's happening in your life right now, all that's going straight to the Chinese government. So it's not necessarily the best for that if you're looking for privacy. And it is known to be like, it won't discuss certain things that are taboo in China. There is a fair amount of censorship in that regard. So if you're looking for an AI, but if you're looking for an AI that has advanced reasoning, is free to access, and has no, and you're okay with data harvesting, then you could do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. And then Claude AI also isn't just good for writing, it can also do code editing and stuff that you would normally do with ChatGPT. So you could definitely use that one as well. Just keep in mind you might not have the highest message capacity. And then Grok was actually trained at least partially on social media posts from X, which is why it has such a human style conversation. It can carry on a quite human style conversation with you sometimes. And it can actually, that's why it writes so well too, because it knows exactly how humans would say something. Now, some things to look out for. Grok is intentionally uncensored. It was designed to be, quote, maximally truth-seeking, meaning that is not afraid to approach edgy topics, and if you egg it on, it will actually produce some slightly inappropriate humor or something like that if you ask it to. So because of the fact that it's a little bit more edgy, I definitely if kids are using it, I would not recommend it for kids until they're older teens because of the problems with little content moderation.
Yeah,
Like I,
we're gonna talk more about that in the next segment that we're gonna do in the
yeah.
next episode. We're gonna talk more about really what age groups or which ones you can use for which age groups, but all the way across the board, no matter what. We really want to make sure that kids are using AI and all these models supervised. Make sure that they have, that you're using it with them, you're learning with them, you're knowing what it says and what it's not saying. I know Grok, you can even kind of choose how you want it to respond if you want it to be like a little
Yeah, there's
contentious.
personas.
Yeah, there's personas. So we're going to talk more about that. And then we're going to also get straight into some application and some usefulness for this type of thing. So, and really how you can use it right now. I'm even going to give you some prompts. And if you're on our email list, you definitely got 3 prompts already in the email that came out this morning. So make sure you check your email. And I also want to make sure that you're giving me feedback on this. So I want to know what you are wanting to know about AI in this series. So how are you liking this series? What's been most valuable to you? And what can we focus on, and what can we do to help you integrate more of that into your household? We're not talking about kids being on screens all the time. Absolutely 100% not. I am not a believer in that. But we can make sure that our kids are able to use these tools and use them wisely and not use them as the sole aspect of their education. We're going to talk about that next time. Kenyon, you had one last thing to say. Go ahead real
Yeah.
quick.
So Grok is also surprisingly good at reasoning heavy tasks like the science, engineering, coding, math, all that good stuff. It surprisingly has scored near the top on measurements, measurement benchmarks for that. So meeting or exceeding advanced ChatGPT. So you can use it for that, and if you want it to integrate with X, you can certain people with like paid X plans can also access it directly within that platform. And a cute little AI also, it's not well known again, but it's kind of funny. It's called Pi from Inflection, the company. And it's not meant, it's like, don't expect it to be your math or coding partner. It's not really for that, but it's meant to be this fun little conversation partner that you can just talk to and with very human-like text, and it's just meant to be like a little AI companion dude who can help you out with some things. So if you just want a very natural conversational AI, check out, Pi.
Yeah, we're gonna also talk about that next time too, and what to be careful of, and in making it into something that's a person type thing, because that is a real problem. So let's
Anthropomorphization is not good.
yeah. So we're
Like
going to talk
making it
about that next
human.
time. Yeah. So let's go ahead and give me feedback. Give me feedback, comment, send me a DM on social, or just email me, mentor@thefreedomscholar.com. Just give me a heads up. What's been most valuable to you? What do you want to see coming in the future here? Because this is a series. We're going to have our last one next time. Again, this will be a 3-part series. So if you haven't watched the one or listened to the one from 2 weeks ago, be sure to go back and do that. Thanks, Kenyon, for joining us. Can you see how, I don't need to know things. So I could just ask him. I know all the things now. All right, you guys, I will talk to you next time. And we're also going to have, in 2 weeks, we're going to have a special guest on besides Kenyon, who is going to be talking about how to teach our kids to question using AI. It's an important skill that everybody needs to know for the future. All right, you guys, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.